This is the Gerry Callahan Show.
All right, who do I need to give credit to here, Carano? Last night you were sending me, these prototypes, these what do they call them, mock-ups.
Yes.
Of our new merch, and I was impressed. I said, "Good job, great job, wonderful job." And finally, like after 6 or 7 texts, she said, "You know what? I didn't do it. That was Graham, the intern."
Oh, right. I got to take credit for good things, though, right?
You were close to taking all the credit, but I guess I guilted you into.
You did. You dragged it out of
Graham. I dragged it out of you. And Graham, the intern, who I've not met. I haven't even seen him, but apparently he's got skill. He's got talent because he started us on our way toward our first offering of Callahan Show merch, and I personally love it. I don't like just plain old. I told you I don't like just plain old Gerry Callahan Show. Here's a shirt or a mug.
No.
You need something. You need some kind of gimmick or some kind of hook. And was it you or was it Graham who came up with it?
Oh, it was my idea, of course.
It was your idea, and you assigned it. You assigned it to the intern.
I look at it as a partnership between me and the interns. I say, hey, I'm not like I don't bullwhip them like some people on the border. I ask, hey, I have this idea, but I'm not a designer. Is it, do either one of you feel like you want to take this on? And Graham was like, yeah, I'll give it a shot. And he was a little like, I don't know if this is any good, but I really like the style, and I think it shows up. It's up really great on a shirt. So I was happy.
I love it. It's blue, and no one's seen it yet except us because it hasn't happened yet. We're just working on the design, but it's blue, which I like. I don't like black T-shirts or white T-shirts. I like blue. It's blue.
So it is live. Actually, it's live. It's on the store. I just dropped the link. So people can buy.
Quick, man. You are quick. I mean,
no.
I think you would have done that if I were like busy last night and I couldn't have contributed, offered you my opinion.
I would have dropped
it. Still would have done it, which is fine because, like I said, I like it. I like the color. Please don't tell me it's 100% cotton. I don't want to get, I hate that.
So we have different options. I wanted to make it simple for the first one. So there's only one type of shirt. I think it's a cotton blend. I can take a look at it, but I can actually add that image to a bunch of different stuff, to hoodies, whatever you want. I can give you some options.
Let me tell you why I like it so much. That brings us to the big news of the day, the big news from yesterday, which I'm going to relay to our audience and celebrate now. The big news from yesterday was Bug the Chug went to the specialist, the Dougie Orthopedic.
Yeah.
Initially, I told the story. He went to a vet, just a nice vet down in Virginia where my daughter lives. The vet took a look at his bum leg. As if you're not aware, Bug the Chug is my daughter's dog. He's the cutest dog in history. We talked about this on the live show with Minahan, and then we mentioned it here too. But he's a 12-pound chug named Bug. Bug is blind, and he also has a limp. When my daughter adopted him, at first I was thinking she's nuts, but I've come around, and I'm very proud of her. I admire the hell out of that you're going to take on a blind, gimpy 5-year-old dog, and she's already in love with him, and she'll do anything for him, which was what I was worried about, because she took him to the vet. The vet did x-rays and said, bad news. He has a bullet in his shoulder, in his front shoulder. Someone shot him when he was down south before my daughter adopted him. He's a badass. He survived. He's living life, enjoying life, but he is limping. That leg doesn't really work like it's supposed to. The vet says, go to an orthopedic. He will tell you whether the leg has to come off, whether it has to be amputated. I was worried for 2 reasons. I didn't want him to lose his leg, and I didn't want my daughter to pay. It costs like $5,000 to have an amputation. And so she doesn't have that kind of money, but she would do it. She'd find a way. She'd sell her blood or whatever it took to pay for this dog's surgery. So she went to the orthopedic with Bug the Chug yesterday. Great news. The surgeon said, save your money. He's fine. That leg's not going to hold him back. He kind of drags it. he jumps around on 3 legs and kind of drags the bum leg, but that's better. That's preferable to cutting it off, to lopping it off.
Yeah.
That was the verdict yesterday. I was afraid he'd say, "Oh no, it has to come off," and then she would have to go through the whole process of having the amputation. That would not have been good. Plus, you would have had to redo the shirt. If he had like
The 3-legged.
you'd have to get rid of one of the legs, and we don't want to put you. I don't want to give you any extra work here. So, Bug the Chug is on the first piece of Callahan Show merchandise, a T-shirt with a picture of him, and that's it. He's such a great looking, cool looking dog that I love it. I love it. He's white, kind of white beige spots and everything, so it shows up good on the dark shirt. So
yeah. There are a few choices of colors, I think, in there. Yeah, you can choose. I think but between 3, I think there's a couple blues. There might be the black too, but yeah, I just wanted to give people some options.
I mean, some people like black T-shirts. I find that you don't really wear them that much in the summer. Black shirts on a summer day, you tend not to wear them, and white is just too plain. I like blue. I'm going to get the blue one. How do you get it though, Karana? How do you get it?
Yeah, so I dropped the link in our chat right here. It's also, I always drop, whenever I'm like doing promos and stuff, I always drop our Linktree link, which is Linktree is just a website that shows all of our links, all our social media to locals, all that stuff. So you can, that's right in our Twitter profile. To just grab that link and you'll see it'll say either shop for merch is one of the links in there. Click on that and it'll go right to the store.
I see we're getting horror stories or stories from people who had to pay big money for their dog's surgery.
Yeah.
And I did that once with my dog, who's 14 now. We had his ACL repaired. I think it was $3,000 or $3,500, and I thought I was nuts. But what are you going to do? You just he needed it. In fact, they said he would need the other one very soon, and he has not. He's gotten by with one ACL repair, which is pretty good in my family. We tend to have 4 or 5 surgeries on bad knees, but I always have my father's voice in my head. My father was the greatest guy in the world, very, very compassionate, kind man, but he knew a dog was a dog. He wasn't as bad as Minahan when it came to having no love for the dog, but it was a dog. And then 2 of my dogs as kids got killed in front of the house in the same spot, hit by cars. And both times, Dad buried him in the woods before I could see the corpse.
Yeah,
he did his job. He did his job as a father. Took care of us. Got rid of the dog. Just said sorry. Bad news. He's dead.
Bad news. He's dead.
I don't think you do that anymore. Now people get their dogs cremated, pay like thousands of dollars, have the ashes up on the mantle. They have a service now where they come to your house and kill your dog for you.
Oh,
they come to your house, kill it, then they take it and cremate it and send you the ashes. It's probably, I don't know what it is, $2,000 to do that. But people fall in love with their dogs. I'm guilty, and they will do anything for him or her. I'm a little, I wouldn't go that far because the dog's dead. Doesn't know any better. It's when he's alive that I'm willing to do whatever it takes to keep my dog happy and healthy. Unfortunately, my daughter's the same way, but fortunately, for now, no big expense on Bug the Chug. He does have to have a tooth pulled, by the way. He has an abscess tooth. That's going to be, I don't know, hundreds of dollars.
This guy's had tough luck.
But he's still bouncing around as you saw him. Big smile on his ugly face. Isn't it amazing how the uglier the dog is, the cuter he seems,
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be amazing if that applied to human beings? Like if you were really ugly, you would kind of turn the corner and become cute. Like you'd look at Harvey Weinstein and say, "Isn't he cute?" He's got bad skin, a bald head, bad teeth. Isn't he adorable? People think ugly dogs are cute. It's a shame we didn't feel that way about, our fellow man. Then I'd be a prize, wouldn't I? I mean, it'd be like, oh, he's so ugly, he's cute.
You're a good-looking guy. I still have the ashes of my cat. I'm trying to figure out his final resting point.
Where do you keep the ashes?
He's in my closet. He's in this nice little box, this nice little wooden box with a little latch and a key lock on there. But I think if I felt like we were going to stay here for the rest of my life, I'd bury him out here. But I think we're going to eventually.
It's not him. It's
yes, I know. I'm going to bury the box, the little headstone. a little
So,
headstone for him.
so you're one of them for a cat? How much
Oh,
did you pay? How much did you pay for the cremation?
I don't remember. It was like 7 years ago, 8 years ago. It was hundreds. We took him to the vet. He was on his last legs. He was it was rough. I did not like that at all, of course.
Did you
And
get another one? Did you just replace him?
it took about a year. I was not ready.
So for a cat?
A cat. He's a Bengal. He's more dog than cat. I mean, he'll fetch.
Oh.
He'll fetch. He's like super talkative. Bengals are smart cats.
What's his name?
Our current cat is named Lanier. I call him Lenny, but
Lanier, like after Bob Lanier. What'd you name him after?
Lanier was the most moral character in Babylon 5. I know you love space.
I don't even know what that means. The most moral character in Babylon 5. That's what you named your cat.
Lanier.
So if you call him Lanier or Lenny, does he turn his head? Does the cat?
He purrs
his name.
Yeah, and he'll come. I'll call him. He'll come. Yeah, sometimes he's here during the broadcast too, and meowing his face off.
I have not seen Lanier yet. I'm looking forward to. I don't hate cats. I just don't know why you would prefer a cat over a dog.
It's not about it's about taking care of them. Dogs take a lot. You got to walk them all the time. I would not just keep my dog inside. Like I would walk him all the time. And I don't have time for that. I have to produce your podcast.
You don't have time for that. To walk a dog, it takes 15 minutes.
Oh, they need a lot of access.
You could use it yourself. You could use a little sun, as listeners have pointed out. You could use a little outdoor time yourself. But you could. Yes. I mean, once you get there, you always wonder, like, should I get a dog? Do I have time? Do I have the energy? Whatever, the money. Then when you get it, you can't believe you ever thought twice about it. Because you connect with dogs. Dogs have real personality. They have real purpose. They're God's greatest creation. They just don't live long enough. That's the only flaw in dogs. That and they sometimes, they sometimes shit in the house when they're young. But other than that, and cats. Does your cat ever go outside?
No, I mean, so we have such wildlife around. There are predators all over the place. I've got coyote and all sorts of huge birds of prey out here. I couldn't lose him. I couldn't do that. Break my heart.
So your cat never sees the light of day. Just sits in the window, looks out and wishes he were outside. That's what they do. Cats sit out in the window and say, "God, I wish I were free, but this awful human won't let me go outside."
No, he doesn't want that at all. The door's been open. He doesn't care. He really is. This is a good sized place for a cat. He roams and kills mice. He's happy.
The commenter makes a good point. We should probably think about mugs so we could have Bug the Chug mugs.
That's a good one.
Chug mugs. I mean, as I said to you when you were putting together, I said I just love the name. I mean, the name is catchy. The name is memorable. Bug the Chug. And you have the name. The name is on the collar, correct? Is
the name is on his collar. Yes, you can see.
Yeah, that's good enough.
What's going on with you and your notifications? You gotta turn your stuff. You have to
We'll go through this again if you'd like. We had technical difficulties this morning. I had to.
We had technical.
No, yes, you, not me. You. I had nothing wrong here. Nothing wrong. I touched nothing, as you know. But we had small technical difficulty, and we had to adjust some things. So I wasn't ready for that. But you can cut that out. You can cut that out. All right. That is the update on the introduction, the debut of merchandise. It's a Bug the Chug shirt, and you can do what to get it again? Remind me again.
I dropped the link in here. I'll drop the link on Twitter. It's also in our link tree. Gets to our store.
There you go. In our link tree.
Yeah.
In our link tree, the Bug the Chug shirt. We'll see how that goes. Maybe we'll have Bug the Chug mugs at some point.
I'll look into it. I'll see what they.
Thankfully, we didn't have to adjust and remove one leg. Hopefully, he'll be around for a while. She's taken to a doggy ophthalmologist too to see.
Well, he's blind. Okay, so he's blind. He's taken a bullet. He's got ACL issues. Is that what you just said? No,
he's just probably, but he obviously was abused. Someone shot the thing when he was down south. I can't. Apparently, I was talking to someone. They said they do that a lot. What do they do? They shoot stray dog. When they're out there, with their 22 hunting squirrels or possums. They see a stray dog, they just shoot it. That's something terrible. That happens down south. It's awful.
I've got animals all over my backyard. I would never think to pull my gun and shoot at them. That's terrible.
That's my one great disconnect with my fellow rednecks or right wingers. I can't imagine, shooting mammals. I guess I could shoot ducks or birds. I could do that, but I couldn't shoot a deer or bear or any mammal, to be honest with you, unless it were, attacking my dog or something. A coyote, I could do that to protect. I wouldn't want to do it for fun. I wouldn't find it fun shooting a fellow mammal. I just couldn't do it. It's just
I would do it for meat. I would,
Right.
I've hunted. I don't like the idea of killing animals, but if I had to, I would certainly
And
here to eat it, but that's it.
I hate to like big game hunters that go to Africa and kill
Oh,
lions
no,
or
no, I'm not into it.
zebras or whatever. I mean that I don't get that. I'll never get that. But
I don't get it. No.
I'm not a big gun guy like you. I'm not
True.
I'm not packing. Are you packing right now?
Well, it's in the house. I mean, if
I know, but you never know. You could have a home invasion. I mean, you got to be ready, don't you?
I'm ready. Yeah, I know exactly what will happen if someone.
Do you have to get the key and unlock the safe and all that, or do you no?
No, right in my bed, of course. No,
Really?
there's no kids in the house. My wife knows.
AR-15. What is it?
No, I've got a Springfield XDS is my carry pistol. I do have rifles in the house too, but
Do you? Wow.
I don't like them. I don't like using rifles. I like handguns.
So why'd you buy them if you don't like using them?
Actually, I am holding some rifles for a buddy who moved to the communist state of Massachusetts where you can't have them. So,
yeah.
but I do have them in the house.
Right.
I have a shotgun. I think I have an AR-15. I have some other stuff in here.
You think you have an AR-15?
It's up in the. It's not in a place. I've never used. I don't use it. It's.
Well, you got to be ready. The zombie apocalypse comes. You need an AR-15.
Shotgun and the handgun will do just fine.
I'm sure it will.
My machete.
You'll have to. Do you ever go to the range?
It's been a while, but yeah, I do. I do practice from time to time. It's tough. Like we're in this weird spot where my favorite range is about 45 minutes away, but it's just kind of a haul to do that. There's one in Exeter, not too far, but it's an outdoor range. I don't like it as much. So we're in this kind of weird location where it takes a while. My wife's a good shot though. She's a better shot than I am.
Oh, really?
Yeah. She's got steady hands.
You worry about her, if she just gets sick of you, and she knows where all the guns are, and she's a good shot.
When it's my time, it's my time, Jerry.
Oh God! All right, that's the update on Bug the Chug and on our new merch. We got a lot to get to today on the Callahan Show. You mentioned earlier about whipping animals. We'll get to the whip story, which could be my favorite story about the corrupt mainstream media, the border patrolman whipping poor Haitians. When I first heard it, I said, they can't really go with this. This is so ridiculous. Even Joy Reid, isn't going to run with this. I was wrong. They ran with it, but we'll get to that. We'll get to the most humiliating moment of Joe Biden's 8-month tenure was yesterday when he was sat down with Boris Johnson in front of the world. See, when he embarrasses himself and stumbles and bumbles and loses his way and wanders off in America, it's just for Americans. And we all know that Joe is kind of an empty shell of a man at this point, but the whole world knows now, and they know what his people will do to protect them. We'll give you an update on things in New York City, which is kind of become, Memphis circa, 1890. we have apartheid in New York City now, and I think it's going to get worse. I want to talk about your review of a Jason Isbell song, which I believe is really an Amanda Shire song.
It is, yes, you wrote it.
And how you have to explain to me your criticism, which I think is just stupid. But we'll get to that, and the Biden speech in front of the world, which was also embarrassing, but not as embarrassing as the press conference. And I had my annual physical yesterday. If you'd like to know how that went,
I think everybody wants to know.
I think Bug the Chug and me, we both got good bill reviews yesterday, good bill of health. So that's a good thing, but it was a little bizarre, I have to say. I will give you an update if you'd really like to know. It was a little strange. We'll get to that and a lot more in today's Callahan Show, brought to you by DCU, as always. Whether you're buying your first home, your dream home, or looking to refinance the home you love, DCU may have the mortgage program to fit your needs and, more importantly, your budget. They're mortgage experts We'll walk you through the application process and help remove the hurdles that can make it so difficult and confusing. They'll bring you right up to the front steps of home ownership. Learn more about rates and programs or to apply today at dcu.org/mortgage. DCU is an equal housing lender, NMLS number 466914, insured by NCUA, membership required. All right, Carano. Oh, by the way, I had a long, good conversation with I guess he's my friend now, Kirk Minahan, my former partner.
Oh, you did yesterday?
Yeah, he said he was ripping you on his show. He says, I'm sure that'll really, he says, I didn't really mean it. I just wanted to get under his skin. So he said he was blasting you. And I said, that will probably hurt his feelings because Carano is a big Mina fan. Did it hurt your feelings when you found out what he said about you?
Oh my God. I mean, I've been involved in that world for almost like 2 years now. I've submitted tons of parody songs. I've been on that show 25 times. I can handle a little bit of criticism. No, he wasn't. I don't think he was that tough on me at all. He threw some shots and then he also said he liked me. It's kind of par for the course.
Yeah. Well, sometimes he just make stuff up about, Cullinane, and Cullinane would believe it. I'd say, Dave, he's just doing that to get you going. It doesn't really mean it. But I ended up talking to him for a long time because he said our show on Sunday was joyless, which I didn't feel that way at all. And I thought we had a good time, had some laughs. He just didn't like the fact that, I wanted to talk about his meltdown when we had our parting, when we went our separate ways. And I said, I just want to get that over with and move on. And we did. And I thought we told old stories about Dino, which is his favorite thing, my favorite thing. We had some laughs. And plus, we were all feeling good because we just ran a race. I finished 4th in my age category, which is amazing considering I don't go that fast. I guess there's a lot of slow old guys, but I thought it was a great race and a good time. And I didn't think the show was that bad, but hey.
Well, people were laughing. So to be fair, it's hard to tell what was going on in his head. When you feel a certain way about things, you can't, like, really question on that, of course. But like the crowd was laughing, so it couldn't have been totally joyless. You know what I mean? Like, at least for the people there. There were definitely funny moments. It did get uncomfortable when you brought up stuff, and it seemed like you kind of felt like you half wanted to bring it up and half didn't want to. It felt
no, I wanted to. He said he thought I was mad. I wasn't mad at all. I just wanted to get that answer. I just wanted to answer that one question. Did he remember the moment where he went off on me, which was wild, and I'd never seen anything like it, and it was scary. I genuinely was scared for him at that point, and I made it clear, I was worried about him and should have been. I mean, you don't know. I've given you some sense of what it was about. I've talked to his family about it. It was frightening. I'm glad he's doing much, much better, and I hope I never see that side of him again. But it was frightening, and I just wanted to know if he he remembers it. I've seen him, go through some tough times. I've never seen anything like that. It was scary, and I'm hoping that it never happens again because it, genuinely, I was genuinely worried about him. But anyway, it's good now. We're good, as he likes to say. We're good now. We're good now, and we'll see how long it lasts. He's going to come on this show, I think, before we have our next meltdown or our next fight, and we hate each other. We'll try to get it. We'll try to get him here and get that in before he loses it on me again. But what do you want to do? Do you want to get? Let's get to Biden. Get to the UN stuff or the Border Patrol stuff. I do want to ask you. I've been around a long time. I like music. I enjoy me. I like lyrics. I'm a lyric guy. I like singing along. One of the great things about the internet, when I was a kid and I listened to a song, it would drive me nuts trying to figure out the words. Now all you do is hit a couple buttons and you know the words to the song. Yeah, that's a great thing. I do that all the time. I say, what is he saying there? Boom. And I have to say, again, it's you understand that it's his wife, Amanda Shire. That's her thing. This is her song. But Jason Isbell is one of the best, if not the best, lyricists I've ever seen. Great writer, real poignant, meaningful lyrics in most of, if not all, his songs. Just great, stories he tells. And your criticism is that the words that rhyme in the songs aren't aren't monosyllabic. I mean, they're too simple. What do you think? What do you think the Beatles songs are? You think
Oh,
their rhymes are complicated?
well, I mean, music has come a long way since the 1960s into 1970. We're talking about 50 or 60 years past that. So when you hear the same rhyme scheme over and over your entire life through the decades, it gets old. My criticism with that song is that don't go for the first rhyme that you think of. Like you can't, if you do that,
But
you have,
the
like
lyrics,
one layer of the what. There's just like one layer down.
but if the lyrics tell the story, who cares how simple or complicated the word that rhymes with another word is? It's about the sentence, about the line.
Yeah, so I just get bored though. From my personal preference is something a little bit more in depth than what they were bringing in the problem, and I think that subject matter deserves that. So when he's just doing things that are rhyming white with night and 18 and mean, it doesn't matter the story to me. It's like I can guess the word he's going to end with on the next in the next line because it's the first rhyme that you would ever think about. It seems way too shoehorned in. Plus,
well, again, it's a bad example. You said you were going to, you were going to check out, Jason Isbell's music or his songs. Did you listen to anything else other than this song? Which again, it's about abortion because it was some I don't know, charities, some kind of fundraiser thing for his wife Amanda Shire, who's a pretty acclaimed, musician. She plays the fiddle.
She has a hard time singing though. Ooh.
She plays some other. I like her voice. She plays some other instruments. And she's in that band I told you, the Highwomen. But it was something, the anniversary of Roe v. Wade or something, some milestone about abortion, and she's really into abortion. So she made this song called "The Problem" about a kid getting pregnant and getting going through the process of thinking about and getting an abortion, which I'm not a big fan of, but he didn't do the song. She wasn't with him in Boston, which was a good thing. He did almost all the songs I wanted him to do. It was a great show. And that's how I pick the music I like. The lyrics is the most important thing to me. When I'm running, listening to music, I like to, hear the stuff, hear the lyrics and hear the stories. That's how I get into music. That's how I get distracted from the pain. If I'm running or bike or working out or whatever, I like to, hear him, and he tells great stories. I think we can do it again after you take the time to listen to some of his other music. And I'd be curious as to, he's supposedly a great guitar player. I never quite know when I see like the Rolling Stone lists of 100 best guitar players. I don't really have an educated opinion. I know what I like, but I don't know who's a great guitar. I always hear Eric Clapton's the greatest guitar player. I can't tell you why. I can't tell you why, Jimmy Page is better than this guy or that guy. I know what I like, and I think Jason Isbell, and he has a great lead guitarist named Sadler Vaden. They seem like they really know what they're doing when it comes to their little guitar riffs. So I think he's really good at that, but I'll be curious.
He's all right. I mean, I saw him play. He was playing with a slide in a video that I watched yesterday. He's all right. Like he hits the pitches right. He's got pretty good technique. I don't think he's super fast or anything, but no, Clapton would not be my number one guitar player. Clapton's too slow. He has very limited technique. If you look at him compared to someone like Stevie Ray Vaughan, have mercy on his soul. Poor guy died in a helicopter crash. There's no comparison. Stevie Ray Vaughan blows Eric Clapton out of the water.
He's dead. So who's the best? Who's the best living guitar player?
Yeah, Steve Vai is the best. I'm not saying I like his guitar the best, but he's the most.
See, that's where what I don't understand. If you don't like, to me,
no, I do like him.
The best guitar player is kind of like the best singer or the best songwriter. It's what you like the best.
Well, no, it's not just that. No, there's multiple. If you're a musician, there's multiple criteria. You have to look at the tone, the style, like what if they can play in multiple styles or in one, how fast or slow they are, if they can sweep, if they can tap, all that stuff, and if you like the way that they sound.
See, good. I'm glad I don't know all that. I'm glad I just know what I like. I'm glad I like listening to the music. I don't particularly like guitar, solos or drum solos. I like songs with words and stories and emotion and passion. That's what I like.
Too. Yeah, but if you listen to like Jim Croce or Peter Gabriel or Cat Stevens or James Taylor, there are a ton of other folk artists who are similar in the country, but who are better lyricists than what was presented.
I mean, I have my Pandora station, which is I think it's Harry Chapin, which has Jim Croce, and who else? They're all they're not all, Don McLean. They're all dead. Well, not Don McLean's not dead, but Harry Chapin is. Jim Croce is.
Do you know do you know what happened to Jim Croce? Why or how he died?
I forget. It was
he was sick for one of his performances in Middle America, so they skipped the performance. And at the end of the tour, he's like, "I got to go back there and do it." Got in a plane crash, and he died.
Right,
So,
plane crash.
I love
Harry Chapin was a car crash. Jim
That's right.
Croce was a plane crash. And I listen to that stuff. That's good when you're running or driving and you get to hear the stories they tell. I love that stuff. I don't care if they're not great slide guitar players. That doesn't do much for me. But, I'll look forward to your next review of Jason Isbell. If you need a song or an album, let me know.
Yeah, sure. Send me what you think is good.
I will. I think most of them are good and most of them are pretty poignant. But yesterday I'll get to the most embarrassing moment of Joe Biden's tenure on the international stage. But we got to get to this whipping. We didn't spend much time on it yesterday, but it's amazing. We spent a lot of time talking about the corruption, the dishonesty of the mainstream media. You will never, ever see a better example of it than this story. As you know, as everyone listening to me right now knows, there's a crisis at the southern border in Del Rio, Texas. Right now, I don't know the number. It was up to 15,000. They got, they deported 300, and they're resettling these Haitian immigrants around the country. There's probably a group of Haitians coming to a neighborhood near you, unless you live in Martha's Vineyard or Wellesley or Weston. You're good, but if you live in Boston or Worcester or Lowell or Brockton, they will be. These really compassionate liberal politicians will be resettling Haitian families near you. That's the plan. I think there'll be more of them in red states than blue, because that's the goal of the Biden regime, to change the demographics, to move these people from the third world into your neighborhood so that they can win future elections. But it was a crisis by any definition. You had 15,000, 100-degree heat. They were running low on food and water in some reports. There are 300 pregnant women. There have been births under the bridge. They're in tents. They're living in squalor. It was an amazing story, essentially reported only by Fox News, because the corrupt mainstream media knows this didn't help Biden, so they largely ignored it. There were a few quick reports, but Fox News had a drone above showing you the scene, showing you the dam where they all walked across, telling you some of their stories. And then when the Biden regime used the force of the FAA to ground the drone, the Fox reporter Bill Malugin went up in a helicopter and kept showing you the visuals. It's amazing. It's insane. It's impeachable. They're just letting them into the country, and there's nothing much the Border Patrol can do about it. That was a huge, huge story. It's been a huge story for 2 weeks. The media ignores it. A photo makes the rounds of the Border Patrol on horseback trying to corral these illegal aliens who cross the border into the country, trying to get them back under the bridge, back with the other illegal aliens, and keep them from running across the just heading into America. And it's typical. It's normal. These guys are on horseback. They're in the desert. They're in the wilderness. These guys know how to ride horses. It's part of the job. And there was a weird angle where the reins of the horse appeared to be a whip, I guess. It's not, of course. They don't have whips. Suddenly, the corrupt corporate media discovered this crisis at the border. What do you know? 15,000 Haitian immigrants didn't get their attention, but one Border Patrol guy who was reaching over to stop this illegal alien from running into the country and keep him, by the bridge. The one photograph of that, suddenly they discovered, what do you know? We got issues at the border. So 2 weeks or more of these Haitians living in squalor and filth and sewage and heat and just this unbelievable human tragedy. They ignore that. One image of a guy on horseback trying to stop an illegal alien from entering the country, suddenly they had a story. And if you think I'm exaggerating, you're wrong. The vice president was railing against this. Jen Psaki was talking about this. Mayorkas, the HHS guy, on Monday said, "Oh no, we'll have to look into it. Then I don't know anything about it." The next morning, started saying, "This is wrong. This is not how we're going to treat Haitians." First of all, they didn't do anything to the Haitian. They just tried to get him from entering the country. That's their job. Secondly, what about all the other stuff going on down there? Are we going to suddenly cover that? No. Again, these people are so corrupt. They're so dishonest. They lie to you every single day. This is one of the worst ones, though. This is one of the worst ones when they literally said they knew this wasn't a whip. They found out instantly that it wasn't a whip, but they said this image was too good. Chris Cuomo, that moron, went on his show and said, this looks like, brings back images of slavery. This is what it was like in slavery. They were comparing it to 12 years a slave, where the slave gets whipped every day. He wasn't whipped. There was no whip. He wasn't hurt. He wasn't assaulted. The Border Patrol guy did nothing wrong. He did his job. It's kind of like, and Gutfeld called this, they went into a full Covington. They knew it was dishonest. They knew it was deceitful. They did it anyway because they had a narrative. If you had any faith in the mainstream media, the corporate media, it should be gone now over this. But what do we have? We have Joy Reid, correct? I mean, Joy Reid she's like a court jester. When she covers a story, if you want to laugh, just to get a good chuckle, you tune in, and Joy Reid will have Elon Omar, Ayanna Pressley. She'll have just the most radical, out of the mainstream lunatics on to support her narrative, whatever it is. Everything's racist. Hell, the story of the, Gabby Petito murder, that's racist, because if she were black, they wouldn't have covered it, according to Joy Reid. But we don't have to get into that. Just let's listen to Joy Reid do the full Covington, knowing, by the way, she knows, she went to Harvard, by the way. She knows this wasn't a whip. She knows this wasn't like slavery, but it works for her and the lunatics in her audience. So she went with it anyway.
Unbelievable images shot near Del Rio, Texas. This video from over the weekend shows a horse patrol for U.S. Customs and Border Protection trying to corral human beings like cattle, chasing after Haitian migrants trying to cross back into the United States. These horrifying images seem far more reminiscent of the Fugitive Slave Acts of the 1790s and 1850 and not 2021. Today, the chief of Border Patrol told reporters that these agents were most likely using a technique to control their horses, but would look into the matter.
You know what? Yeah, you live in the sticks. You're kind of a country guy.
Yes.
I'm not, but I understand. I know what reins are. I know I've ridden a horse twice in my life. And I know that those things you hold and you pull them to go one way or pull them to go, or you pull back to slow them down. I've seen enough, Clint Eastwood Westerns to know those are reins. Those are reins, as everybody pointed out, the minute the images hit the internet, hit social media, anyone who knows anything says those are reins. So she knows they're reins. And she says, supposedly a technique to control their horses. Yeah, Joy, that's what it is. It's a technique to control the horses. You lying sack of crap. You know you're lying and you don't care. You know you're lying and you don't care that your audience, whether they get deceived by you or not.
I know that the nature of this thing with the MSM is it's because of how the advertisement is structured or whatever. They're just trying to get clicks. They're just trying to get views. The more clicks, the more views, the more ads they can sell, the more money that they make. So I know that they're just only saying the most, the things that are gonna move the needle. But it is absolutely evil to try to race bait and to try to create huge division like they're doing. It's evil. The MSM is a force is a negative force in the country and in the world, and it's shameful to watch.
People, when Trump called him the enemy of the people, there were people who went nuts, particularly in the media. That's the enemy. She's the enemy of the people. When you're doing that, when you're lying to your audience, when you're lying about this, to me, this noble public servant in the border, imagine being the border patrolman. You have no support from anyone, from the vice president. No. from Mayorkas, you know that they think you're the enemy. They think the Haitian guy trying to cross the border is the good guy, and you're the bad guy. You're racist. Now you're the Brittle brothers. That's what they think of you as a public servant. They make your job impossible. They allow these people to literally walk across the border. Then they demand that you treat them like welcome guests. Get them water, get them food, give them money, healthcare, free healthcare. Help. And when you try to do the job that you were paid to do, you were hired to do, like keep people from crossing the border, they call you not just a bad person or a bad public employee, but a racist. They call you the worst thing you can be. The vice president does it. The spokesman for the president does it. I can't imagine how disillusioned and disgusted the Border Patrol people, and you've been communicating with one who listens to us. I can't imagine the morale when you have no support from the executive branch.
And you know what the news is, the like Joy Reid, it's not her, but you know what her producers or her editors are doing is they're looking through the images and the video, and they're trying to find the exact frame.
Right.
Makes it look the absolute worst. Just like they did with the Covington kid. He had a smart ass look on his face, but it was just a moment in time of an expression, and he got absolutely dragged through the media for months.
Which was disgusting, and hopefully people remember that. I mean, hopefully, he's driving like a Maybach right now because he sued and he settled and he made some real money.
Sure he did, yeah.
There's a whole different standard. You cannot slander, you cannot libel a private citizen who's not a celebrity that way. They did. They lied about him. They knew it wasn't true. They knew the old Native American guy was the agitator trying to get a charge, the kid to respond. He didn't. He showed Nicholas Sandman showed amazing restraint.
Oh, amazing restraint. Yes.
I wonder if this guy, well, they won't name him, probably the guy on the horse who grabs the illegal alien by the shirt. If they named him, he would have a suit. If they named him and went with that narrative that he's, like it's Django Unchained and they're trying to stop this runaway slave, he would absolutely have a case, but I don't think they're going to use his name.
Yeah, so I this is a tough one for me because because I have a lot of compassion for that guy, but he is he's a government employee, and I don't know that you have a right to privacy if you're a government employee doing your job. So he's in a tough spot. I don't know that he would be able to sue, but I have a lot of compassion.
He's not a public figure. He absolutely would be, but they have a name.
He's a public servant though, right? As a border officer. I don't know. He's in a tough spot.
It doesn't matter. He's not a public figure. He would absolutely have a case. But again, they didn't name his name. We don't know who he is. Maybe we'll find out. Maybe, Fox News will get an interview with him and he can find out how it feels. We can find out how it feels to be compared to a slave trader or a guy running down runaway slaves. It's disgusting. And the worst part is they all know it. They know Chris Cuomo knows it. Don Lemon knows it. Joy Reid knows it. Kamala Harris, Jen Psaki. They all know they're lying about the whip. They all know it's not a whip. They're doing it anyway. They pick sides. They pick the side of the illegal alien breaking our laws and invading our country over the person who's protecting us, who's guarding the border, protecting the people. He's the bad guy. The Haitian immigrant's the good guy.
Well, you could say it like that, but I just think of it as it's already a tense situation, and why are you trying to inflame it and make it worse? There's no reason to do that.
Because they want to, paint that guy as the bad guy, that border patrol, and the policy of actually stopping people at the border. They want open borders. They want to change the country. They want to turn Texas blue. That's the goal, and this is the way they think the best way to do it. But I'm looking forward to hearing from more lunatic lefties lying about us. Ayanna Pressley, I don't think has chimed in. Ilhan Omar did. She said that was systemic racism.
Yeah,
that's what she called it. I don't even know. Can you even tell the race of the Border Patrol guys? Because half of them are either Hispanic or black, and they're racist because they're trying to stop Haitians from breaking our laws. It's madness. It must be so frustrating for the people who are doing their jobs down on the border and dealing with the chaos, the intentional chaos, the chaos by design from the Biden regime. We have not heard Joe Biden on this yet. And you know what, Karan? We never will.
Probably
we
not.
never will. He will never be asked about the disaster at the border that he has created, because I'm not sure he even knows it. I shouldn't say he created, his people, his handlers created this mess by design, and he'll go along with it. But that didn't stop him from absolutely humiliating himself, in my opinion, on the world stage. Here's what happened. He went to the UN, just up for a couple hours up to New York, gave an absolutely dreadful speech, lifeless, dreary speech about the weather. Of course, again, we're going back to changing the weather. We have too many hurricanes now, so we got to spend trillions of dollars and attempt to change the weather. He gave a speech. It was negative. It was just down. It felt again like dreary and like a real downer. He never mentioned China or Russia. Didn't say the words China or Russia. Mentioned Sudan and Rwanda, I think, and all these other countries. Didn't mention China or Russia. Mentioned the climate 15 times. The climate. I'm just so tired of this. There's so many issues, so many problems right now, many of them created by the Biden regime in these first 8 months, these disastrous 8 months, including Afghanistan, the border. I mean, you have issues, COVID, the caste system that we have now in our cities because of COVID. And our president, the leader of the free world, babbling on about how we have to change to do something about the extreme weather. I mean, it's just so people don't care about that.
Well, if climate change is man-made, then the government is culpable for this because they won't allow nuclear. Like that's full
right.
stop. Like if you can't, you've created the problem. So
here's the thing. I mean, it's a waste of time for America to do anything. I mean, you could say we could get to zero emissions. It won't matter if China doesn't do it, or India doesn't do it, Africa doesn't do it, Russia doesn't do it. What does it matter what we do? If you think it's just we're gonna change the weather in our country, but the weather in their country is gonna still be extreme? It's absurd. It's childish, is what it is, and it's a distraction. It's a way to distract from the real problems. If you ever look at a list, like a poll of the issues people are concerned with, climate change is not like in the top 20. People don't care. They don't believe it. They know it's just a way to waste our money and try to control people. And when you're sitting there, you're going, wait a second. We got Americans still in Afghanistan behind enemy lines. We have this invasion of the southern border, and he's talking about hurricanes and tornadoes. It's just absurd. But he finishes up. He has a meeting later in the day with Boris Johnson, British Prime Minister. They're both masked up, and they're sitting there talking, and the media is there, and they get to ask Boris Johnson, I think, 2 questions. He talks to the British reporters, and the thought that maybe someone might dare ask a question of the leader of the free world on this day where he spoke to the UN about these big international issues, that they might say, Mr. President, what about the chaos at the southern border? What about the Americans behind the enemy lines in Afghanistan? What about the drone strike that killed 7 kids? Are you going to fire anybody for that? Anybody? We don't get to ask. We don't get to ask. It is the most gutless thing you've ever seen from a president. He has yet to answer a question about the drone strike, which was a month ago. I mean, he has yet to answer a question about Americans trapped behind enemy lines, or about the southern border. So listen to this chaos, and just tell me there's anything that you've seen from in this last 8 months that's more embarrassing than the lengths to which his handlers will go to stop him from making a single unscripted comment. Listen to, can we play just the sound?
Well, no, can I show the video? Because the video's got the sound too. Yeah.
All right, let's listen. Let's watch.
Well, hey, I'm sorry. Before I drop that, I just wanted to say we talked about this before the show, but it looks pink to us. It should look fine to everybody else, but in case it looks weird, you can just tell me in the comments. But here is Boris and Biden hanging out.
The Belfast Good Friday Accord. That's the Belfast Good Friday Agreement. That's the. I think that's
Just look at that coward. I mean, honestly, the media, the PR people, the handlers, the visiting angels there to help to protect Biden, they treated the media worse than the Border Patrol guy treated the Haitian.
It's
I mean,
true.
they just literally pushing them out of the room, screaming at them, living in fear that this empty husk of a man behind the mask might say something. Think of how ridiculous that is. The world is watching, saying, oh, good, now we'll get to hear someone ask the president about whatever, Afghanistan. And we can't. We can't because they don't want to risk him actually saying something that they haven't typed into the teleprompter, which he struggled with, by the way, mightily. He struggled reading the teleprompter in front of the UN.
Oh, he was a mess. Yeah.
But this is so embarrassing that we have a president who can't answer a question. And every time I criticize him on this show or on Twitter, invariably you get the half a dozen people say, "What about Trump? What about Trump?"
Yeah, that's always the thing.
What about Trump? Trump would answer 1,000 questions every day. I mean, it got to the point we'd be like, enough, Donald, enough. Go away.
And even that's so dumb. That's a dumb comment anyway from them. It's like, well, why don't we just deal with what's happening in front of us, which is he's not answering questions, and his media people, his PR people, are cutting off a head of state in mid conversation. So I looked at this video really closely, and there's a few things that are weird here. I don't know why the PR people stopped exactly where they stopped. I'm wondering if they're monitoring him some way. Are they monitoring his like vitals and seeing if he's like starting to go down? Because
I think they felt like
no sense.
I think they felt like there were two questions, I believe, for Boris Johnson. He answered them, and I wasn't even listening to his answer. But they said, "Okay, here's where someone turns their attention to Biden and asks him, and we just can't have that. We can't risk that." Asking a simple question of the leader of the free world. It's like if that were I say this all the time, but if that were Mac Jones after the game, or Jordan Spieth after the losing a Ryder Cup match, you'd say, what a coward. He won't even answer questions. He won't face the media. He won't take responsibility. This is the president of the U.S. who killed drone blew up, vaporized 10 innocent civilians, including 7 children, who put 13 Marines and soldiers in harm's way to be blown up by a suicide bomber, who has blood on his hands and doesn't have the guts to answer a question. It's just infuriating and embarrassing. And I don't know who the next president's going to be, probably Kamala Harris. I hope we don't allow this to become the standard.
This is now the status quo.
This is like Prince Andrew or someone. Oh no, you can't have you can't. No, there'll be no access. There'll be no accountability. He will do what he wants to do and never have to answer to the American people. It's
at the end. At the end of this video too, you see the camera turns and you see some of the reporters walking out, and one of them says, "What did he say?" And the other one says, "I don't know. Hope the mic got it." Because you see Biden miming something. He says something like you see him mouthing, or I don't know if you see it. Says something like signing something. You can't quite make that up. And then another reporter you hear at the end too say, "That's absurd. Reporters should get questions." So that's
really? By the way, he had meetings in New York with other world leaders and didn't wear a mask. Then he sits down with Boris Johnson. It's like, okay, time to wear a mask. I mean, it's just, what is it? Are you vaccinated and you good or not? Whatever. We don't have to get into the mask thing again. I want to get to a couple other things, and before we wrap this, you know what? I might save my physical story.
Let's talk about that tomorrow. Yeah,
we'll do it tomorrow because we have to get to this scene in New York, which again, you always ask, what about Trump? What if it were Trump? If it were Trump who refused to answer questions after blowing up 10 innocent civilians, there would be outrage in the streets. If it were Trump who created this chaos at the border, it would be madness right now among the mainstream media. They'd be screaming, kicking, demanding answers. In New York, and I think in other cities, certainly to come. It's New York is setting the standard because New York has the most radical Marxist mayor in Bill de Blasio. And Bill de Blasio is one of these control authoritarians who would absolutely go door to door, hold you down, inject you if he could. He would absolutely prefer to just go full fascist. That's his nature and that's his instinct. And he comes up, he makes the edict, the decree that only vaccinated people can eat in restaurants. and you have to show an ID, a vax ID card. That's coming to other cities if it hasn't already. I don't know what's it in San Francisco or DC. Do they have that yet? They will. And as we know, in New York, Black people between 18 and 45, only 30, I forget the number, 37, 38% are vaccinated. That means 60 something percent are not vaccinated. And we know there are various reasons. They're skeptical of the, as a history that this, so maybe some of them already had COVID, and kind of like Bolsonaro, the Brazilian president who came to New York. De Blasio said specifically that the president of Brazil cannot eat in restaurants because he's had COVID. He doesn't think he needs the vaccination. He had to eat a pizza with his crew, his handlers, his staff outside. He stood outside on the sidewalk and ate a pizza because he's not allowed in restaurants in New York. And de Blasio specifically called him out and said, "You're not vaccinated. You're not welcome here." The president of what is Brazil, like the 5th largest country in the world or something?
Yeah, 150 million or something. Yeah.
He's not allowed to go to indoors in New York because he has natural immunity, doesn't feel the need to get the jab. And de Blasio, this tin pot dictator, says, you can't come here. You can't stop him from coming here, but he can stop him from eating in restaurants. Anyway, and he's white. I mean, you're kicking white people out too, but there are more Black people who are unvaccinated than white. So they can't participate in life. They can't go to stores, gyms, restaurants. And the restaurants have to ID them. I mean, it's their job to say, let me see your vax card, right? They're forced by the government, by this mayor, to check people's vax cards before they serve them meals. So there's a restaurant, Carmine's, in New York, and it's a big group of Black diners. I think it's 8 or 9, and they weren't all vaccinated. And I think the first 3 show up, and then 3 more, and they were vaccinated, but then 2 or 3 more came and they weren't. And the hostess, a kind of smallish Asian lady, checks their IDs, says, ask for ID. They don't have it. They say you have to leave. They do not leave quietly. We've seen the video. They attack her. They lie and say she used a racial slur, which is not true, of course, but they were just pissed that they had to leave, and they physically attack her. It's their fault. It's not, you don't resort to that kind of violence, but get used to it. Get used to it, because this is required. And I don't know why you blame her. She has to do this, right? I mean, she can't. It could be
mandate. It's a mandate by the city. I was trying to look at what the penalties were if you're a restaurant that has shown to. I can't readily find that, but it's a mandate. There are repercussions if you're a restaurant and that doesn't do that. They're going to use force against you if you do not check for vaccine cards. Not their fault.
And they know de Blasio will do that. They know he hates, private business. They know he's a Marxist. They've been through this before. So, and they've been through it with the mask mandates. But now, I mean, obviously you put a mask on, you take it off to eat. It's just for show. People do it all the time. This means you can't go in there unless you've been vaccinated. And again, that means 60-something% of Black adults in New York can't go to restaurants. This happened. It was crazy. If you haven't seen the video, they fighting and falling on the sidewalk, and it's chaos. And it's going to happen again and again because these restaurants are required to do this, even if they think it's nuts, which they probably do. They know this asshole mayor is going to crack down on them if they don't do this. So we have apartheid in New York City. Mayor Bill de Blasio does not want Black New Yorkers to participate in society. You can't go into a store, a mall. You can't go to Macy's and shop. You can't go to Carmine's and have lunch. You can't go to the local pub and have a beer if you're Black. That's the rule, and that is not going to end well. It hasn't begun well. It's going to get worse, and I have a feeling, because all these mayors are nuts. They're all radicals. You're going to see it in other big cities, and this is how it's going to play out, which is frightening. But hopefully, I don't even know what will change. I mean, what's going to change? They're not going to suddenly decide that the unvaccinated, the president himself has already declared war on the unvaccinated. He's already kind of endorsed this apartheid, said, the black people, Hispanic people who don't want to get vaccinated, fine, don't get vaccinated, but you can't participate in society. That's from the commander in chief. That's from that's from the the highest office in the land. What if it were Trump? What if it were Trump? I mean, it's amazing, the double standard. This is just going to get really, really tense, really ugly, and it's the fault of these mandate maniacs like De Blasio. But all right, we'll stay on top of that. We'll give you the latest. We'll follow it because it's going to get worse and it's going to get uglier. And until De Blasio is gone, which is not far off. I believe he'll be on by January, which is good. But you know what? The next mayor, even if it's Eric Adams, he's certainly not a lunatic like De Blasio, but he's a liberal. He's black, so maybe he'll change the rule and allow black people to participate.
Well, I bet he would get a lot of pressure from that community at least.
That's true. That's true. And and we'll see how it goes in other cities. See if other cities do the same thing. And I don't even see how it could go any differently. I mean, you think people are just going to accept the fact that you're not allowed to go to restaurants and bars and gyms and stores and just say, okay, you got me, I'll stay home. I mean, that's not human nature.
I mean, you're seeing migration out of California. You're seeing migration out of New York. That's what's happening. People are going to more friendly states. You've got major media personalities who are doing the same thing, whether it's Joe Rogan or even all sorts of people.
Ben Shapiro
is leaving. Ben Shapiro is a great example. Yeah, moving to
the whole company. He has like a couple hundred employees, and he was in LA and moved the whole company to Nashville.
I would too if I were in California doing the same. In fact, I did. I lived in California for 4 years, and I was like, I can't have a home and a good quality of life here. I'm out.
You move your company to Nashville or Austin. Maybe people don't like the idea of selling their house and moving, but they get an instant raise of
they do
6, 7, 8, 10%.
They do.
They suddenly realize once they get comfortable, they say, God, why didn't we do this a long time ago? Maybe you're right. Maybe that's what happens. People just bail. I just can't. I just feel bad for restaurant owners, bar owners, gym owners. This government has the boot on their throat. It's had it for a year and a half. And it just seems like there is no end in sight, unfortunately, for them. But we will see how it goes. All right. Thanks to everybody for listening, for watching, for commenting. Check out the Bug the Chug merchandise T-shirt on. How do I do it again? Just go to
the link tree. I dropped
the link.
Comments, but there's go to our Twitter or whatever. There's the link tree. A link is there. Just go to that and you'll see there's a listing for the store. It's pretty.
Yes, and,
or just DM me if you have a problem. I'll just contact me. I'll help you.
Fortunately, the Bug the Chug shirt has 4 legs. He's going to continue to have 4 legs. That's the good news.
And a bandage. You see that with a little cross on the bandage?
That's a little bandage. Yes. That's good. But he's a tough bastard. He's doing great. So am I, by the way. But I'll give you my physical story another time. It's not as good as Bug. Not as good as Bug the Chug story. But maybe I'll do that tomorrow. I think we'll be joined by Turtle Boy, who had an unbelievable blog about another race hoax in this one right here in Boston, a high school football game. Check it out. Check it out at TV Daily News, and hopefully we'll talk to Turtle Boy about that tomorrow, and a lot of other things. Because Turtle Boy's not allowed in restaurants and bars and gyms either. Nobody cares about him, but we'll find out how it's going with him, who, by the way, was the fastest member of Team Minahan. We have to give him that. We have to give him
very quick
for that. He can run, but we'll get all the details on that tomorrow with Turtle Boy. All right, Carano, that will do it. I'm Gerry Callahan. This is the Callahan Show with Matt Carano, and we will talk to you again tomorrow.